We just have to make sure that Wyatt and Lindsay are ready to go. Wyatt, Lindsay, if you two are ready to go, let's let the feeding begin. Okay, here they go. Their first toss looks like some squid, and it looks like the first fish moving in are the dolphin fish, or mahi-mahi, and also some tuna as well. So those are the bigger fish that are really moving in for their feed. Now, the tuna, you'll see, can do some very quick turns, some very sharp turns. And they're able to do that by tucking down their fins, so they can go very, very streamlined. And you'll notice that they can swim about 20 miles an hour or so in this exhibit. So they're some of the quicker movers in this exhibit. Now, the dolphin fish up top, or mahi-mahi, as you might have known from a restaurant or something like that, are the ones that have the very blunt or prominent foreheads, and they're also capable of some really neat color changes. So right now, up towards the center of the exhibit, I'm seeing some beautiful golden and blue color changes with these mahi-mahi. Now, in Spanish, this fish is actually called dorado. So dorado in Spanish means gold, and now you can see why. When they get into very excited states, you see some pretty incredible color changes, and that's what you're seeing right here, right now. So at this point, it looks like we now have some squid and also some smelt in this exhibit. It looks like our sardines are moving in towards the center portion of the exhibit, just picking off some of the leftovers. But you're going to notice that these small fish are not getting in the way of the big fish, right? I think we all know why, right? Don't want to get in the way of a big tuna going 20, 25 miles an hour. It's not a good idea. So you'll notice that the smaller fish really kind of stay further back, and they'll just pick off the leftovers, and that's okay. So right now we definitely have a lot of the bigger fish in the main portion of the exhibit here. We have some of our barracuda over here on the left and also on the right-hand portion of the exhibit. And those are the very long and skinny-looking fish. So those very long and thin fish are the California barracuda. Now, if you're looking at some of the smaller fish that look kind of like mini tuna, those are called Pacific bonito, and they are actually a tuna relative. So you'll notice them darting in and out and picking off some of the leftovers as well. Over here on the left, we have our sardine school. Now, there might be some anchovies mixed in. Small fish sometimes school together or move together in the wild, so there may be some anchovies mixed in with the sardine school as well. Now, it looks like from the top portion of the exhibit, we're introducing a little bit more squid, but you'll notice that a lot of that food isn't really making it toward the bottom, right? It's all getting eaten up before it hits the bottom, and that's really our goal. We want to make sure that nothing sinks. We want to make sure everything is getting fed. So we regulate this feeding very, very well to ensure that we're not wasting food and to ensure that the animals are getting fed what they need to be fed. So this portion of the program, it looks like our sardines are moving in, taking over some leftovers. You might notice, if you can see down below, that some of our sharks are spending a lot of time in the bottom portion of the exhibit. Not only our white shark, but also the hammerheads and the Galapagos sharks as well. So all of our sharks here at the aquarium are trained to swim up to a target and be fed at that target, since they aren't fast-moving swimmers. They're not as quick as the tuna or as the dorado. So we need to ensure that those animals are fed at another time, since they probably won't get their fill at this feeding here. Now it looks like our barracuda are moving back in towards the center portion of the exhibit here. They're starting to come out a bit more now that the tuna aren't moving quite so frantically, quite so eagerly. So you might notice them picking off a few leftovers as well. The dorado are still taking the main portion, the main top portion of the exhibit there, and that's really where they spend most of their time. In the wild, they spend a lot of time up by the surface of the water. So that's frequently where fishermen see them, is up by the surface of the water, and that's true for this exhibit as well. So it looks like most of the food is getting eaten. There's still a little bit of squid in the water, also some smelt, as I mentioned earlier. Now, I also mentioned that they're going to be feeding some sardines to the exhibit. But then I also said that there are sardines as part of the exhibit, as exhibit animals, right? So some of you might be wondering, well, why don't these big fish just feed on the sardines in the exhibit, right? Why don't they do that? And the answer is, it is so much easier to chase something that's not moving, right? It is so much easier to chase the food you're given rather than go after your tank mate. So we see very, very low levels of predation, or animals eating one another, in the exhibit for that reason. Everyone is kept very, very well fed. Now over here on the left, we have a hammerhead that just swooped off over to the left, so you should see it come back in the next few minutes as well. Pretty easy sharks to spot. We actually have 3 hammerheads in this exhibit. Now they can get pretty big in the wild. They can get well over 10 feet long. But you'll notice that they have pretty small mouths, so they're still eating things like small fish, sardines, anchovies, also some small sharks or rays. Now, it looks like most of the food has disappeared at this point. There's still some squid and also some smelt in the water, a small little white bait smelt in the water as well. And I'm looking up above and I'm seeing kind of a little cube floating over here on the far left. That cube is a vitamin cube, and they have been tossing in some vitamins as well. So it's a gel cube that provides the fish with some supplemental nutrients. Frequently, because they're getting freshly thawed food, they don't get all the nutrients they need because some food loses nutrients as it thaws. So we can provide them with the gel cubes that give them that supplement as well. Now up at the center portion of the exhibit, we have our sardines going after that krill we talked about a moment ago. So krill is a small crustacean. It's a little shrimp relative, and it's pretty amazing. It feeds some of the smallest animals in the oceans, like sardines and anchovies, but also some of the biggest, like blue whales and whale sharks. They get to be, 60 to 100 feet long on a diet mainly of that little crustacean, that little krill there. So the sardines are filter feeders, and they basically just swim through that cloud of krill until it disappears, until they've eaten all of it up. And that was a good 20 pounds of krill or so that you saw disappear pretty rapidly, I would say. So at this point, if you can imagine, the exhibit is completely devoid of food, right? No more food in the exhibit, and that took all of about 8 minutes, if you can imagine. You saw close to 100 pounds of food disappear in about 8 minutes. These fish are absolutely on top of their game in this exhibit. We should really stay on top of our game as well. Pick up your seafood watch card for me today, and come on up if you have any questions. If not, thank you again, and enjoy the rest of your day here at the Monterey Bay Aquarium.